Hi, this is Tea Time at Watermelon and I'm the programmer assigned to ProjectN, our first Super Nintendo game. Also, bonus points for you if you recognize me despite my disguise. As you might know, ProjectN is going to be an action-packed top-view adventure RPG game. Think like Pocky and Rocky meets Zelda. The game is going to be based on Greek mythology and will feature quite a unique graphic style. So today I'm going to give you some insight into the programming side of the development process. What I'm going to show you today is our current engine testbed only. It uses placeholder graphics taken from various great artists at pixeljoint.net. Please keep in mind that none of the graphics shown here actually represent what the final game will look like at all. So first, let me tell you something about our current status. On the programming part, the current status is currently about alpha level. The basic engine is working. All of the support tools such as level editors, graphics, music, text converters, etc. are done. And currently I'm working on implementing the game-specific stuff. I'd say that we're currently about 50% done with the programming side of the game. Content, not so much. So let's have a look at the game. So currently all we've got are some basic test levels which are used exclusively to test the engine, so they are not levels that will appear in the final game. Currently you're already able to run around, but the controls need quite some refinement still. You can also play around with your sidekick already. He's usually CPU controlled, can also be controlled by a second human player, and in special parts of the game also by the first player. For example, you might need to use him for some special puzzles or stuff like that. As you can see, he's kind of aggressive right now, shooting many bullets, running and hitting enemies as soon as he can see them. You will also notice that the sidekick uses the exact same graphics as the main player, and that's basically just for testing purposes. So here's an enemy, again using the same graphic as the main player. So let me talk about some technical details of the game. So first up are sprites. We have a very flexible sprite system right now. Sprites can be of various sizes, and we can have static and dynamic graphic. In our game we have the flexibility to decide which objects are static and which objects use dynamic graphics, so dynamic graphic uploads. The advantage is that we can really get the most out of the available system graphics RAM. So we probably use static graphics for most of the standard stuff like bullets or maybe standard small enemies. And the player and maybe big bosses will have dynamically uploaded graphics, and they will have the ability to make really smooth animations. And yeah. So let's get to the levels. We have a level editor that's open source, and it's very easy to work with, and it's basically your standard stuff. There's a couple of graphics layers, there's a collision layer, and on top of that there are objects. The objects mostly represent enemies, stuff like that, but it can also be triggering special cutscenes or special graphical effects or stuff like that. We have custom hardware developed just for this game inside the cartridge, and maybe you know on the SNES having all kinds of crazy hardware inside the cartridge. It's kind of tradition, so we don't want to be the exception here. The hardware details are unfortunately confidential at the moment, so I can't talk about that. But I can assure you that it's going to be very cool and very massive. I can't show you the development boards yet because the PCBs haven't arrived yet. So in order to be able to develop on this new custom hardware, I took an existing Super Nintendo emulator and plugged all of our custom features that we designed right into the emulator, so that I'm able to test and debug stuff more easily. Yeah, and the most important problem we've run into developing this game is speed. As you might know, the Super Nintendo CPU is not the fastest CPU around. So in our game engine, in our game kernel, so to speak, we are taking some ideas from object-oriented programming to help with code modularity and flexibility. But basically every flexibility that you gain usually takes some sort of speed penalty. So there's like a balance you have to keep in being flexible and having speedy code. Another point is that the amount of data you can upload to graphics RAM in a Super Nintendo per frame is quite limited. So even though we might have all this cool animation and stuff like that, we have to really balance it to so that it all fits into one frame and that there is no scene or part in the game where there's basically too much animation and too much stuff that we want to push through to VRAM, and that's also a very hard thing to do. Yeah, but apart from that, I think we are progressing quite smoothly and I'm quite happy with the progress made so far. So, that's it for today. I hope you found that interesting and I hope to see you soon.